Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party. My buddy Rhett. We just got done with like a hour and 10-minute long Three.js video. Probably should rename that to unit testing video. Do a lot of unit testing on that one. Um, I don't know if it's worth it. And it's so funny because like Rhett was pretty quiet in the last video, and then I watched the last just to figure out what I needed to work on. I watched the last video from this uh, for the voice analyzer. And so she was very quiet for that, which many times that gets her going because she sees herself and then she starts going. And now also she decided she needed to make some noise. You need to make some noise? Pump up the jams, pump them up. Okay. And anyways, yeah, so that's what we're doing. It's always a good feeling when you look over at this little guy here and you see that there aren't any changes in source control. It's always a warm fuzzy feeling for me because that means that like I'm safe. The longer the as more and more of these things start to add up, and as you start making changes, it gets the chances that you lose something that you don't want to lose, or that you break something you can't figure out how to fix it, go up, I think. So anyways, here we are, and what we're trying to do is basically here we got this pop-up, and then here we have the gear, but we do not have a pop-up working. And as I kind of closed out with, I saw myself a few minutes ago. I thought that we were going to have a completely different pop-up for continuous. I figured the configurations for continuous are going to be wildly different. And you know what? I bet if they ever get this API for the browser working, if they ever get into a final stable state, I bet you they're going to have very, very different settings. And I bet you they would unify um, the results from these. So like if I say like hello, if I do that, I get a data structure back, and then but that data structure is very different if I do this. Hello. So, and the thing is it is, oh man, that is so much nicer that it was just a fully different experience. So there was a red thing. So like I was getting kind of confused popping back and forth, but now that that has changed, when you hit record, it turns red so that you remember to stop it. But um, the the way this data is structured is slightly different, but it's enough different to have made me have to sort of refactor and give both of them different structures of data to present on the UI. I bet you that's not. I bet you whenever. I bet they'll unify that if they ever get stable. I don't know if they ever will. Um, but if they ever do, they'll probably unify the way the data comes back. That'll probably be at the top of the list of things improvements. Other thing is they'll be like, there's just so many differences between continuous. Like there's different settings, there's different things we want. Like, do we want it to turn itself off if it doesn't hear anything after a certain amount of time? Is that something we want to be able to configure? There's probably a lot of configuration things that are just totally different. But right now they're extremely similar. So I don't see any reason to maintain two different ones. I think if we ever get back to that point, if we ever get to the point where they're doing new, where they, I think, and what that tells me is that when this thing goes through a big set of changes, if it ever goes through a big set of changes, this code is going to be throwaway. Like we're going to have to build from scratch. Um, it'll be useful. It'll be useful to be able to see why it's broken, but yeah, these structures and stuff are probably going to be like, even the events are all the same. They'll probably change up different events for different. Who knows? There's so much that could change. Um, but anyways, So what I need to do, the first thing I need to do is move my discrete settings dialog box out of here, out of discrete, and I need to move it up so that continuous, kind of like how log count indicator is, and stuff like that is. Yeah, I wonder if log count indicator should be up here, but basically we want to do a move of everything from this, and then we're going to want to rename it to um, like settings dialog instead of discrete settings dialog. This is kind of thing that like was just damn near impossible to do before Angular, or really before TypeScript, not Angular. Um, Now it's usually not too bad, but you probably want to do commits along the way to make and check the things that work. And this is where it'd be very, very nice to have like end-to-end testing, so that we could just run the end-to-end test and test things. But we don't. I would definitely, in my next project that I do, I will probably have end-to-end testing. I probably will not have unit testing. I probably won't. Unit testing is just a bit too much. Maybe I will, but I don't know. And then the fact that it is, and I know I'm a broken record on this, but the fact that they have, in fact, um, deprecated it also is a big reason probably I wouldn't do unit tests. And I probably won't really be a strong advocate of unit test, even if I felt like it was a good idea, um, until they settle in on a unit test framework and then stay on it for a couple of years. Then I probably might change my mind. But the fact that I haven't, my project really seems to suffer from it, just absolute molasses slow motion forward, and the fact that it's, and then if you fold on top of that it's deprecated, it is very difficult to justify doing unit tests. But I would definitely suggest that everybody have at least one project that's complex that they do unit tests on, because man, is it just a great way to check yourself. Just make sure you are in a good place. So you can tell I'm stalling. I'm gonna drag this over to components, and it's probably gonna be a wild ride. So are you sure? Are you sure you want to move that? Yes, move, and make sure. I always want to make sure I don't click that, because I do want to always be asked, because it is very easy. So now discrete settings is moved. Stuff should break. Everything's in, you could just tell everything is just hung up right now, because it's doing a bunch of analysis behind the scenes, and I should get a pop-up. It's a non-blocking. Whatever it's doing is non-blocking, but I should get a pop-up at some point saying, hey, this link doesn't, this, like right over here, I'm assuming that maybe it just works because it is a pop-up, and we did do it like this. See, this should have broke. Yes, this did break. So I think it's going to offer me the option of fixing it automatically for me. But it can be really slow. It can be really, really slow. And you can end up with some pretty weird, if you actually interact with it before it offers, you can get some really weird solutions or outcomes. But it kind of feels like that's the only thing that's broken. So let me try adding another dot here. I think maybe that's all I need. Yeah. So basically, it was in the same folder. Now it's up one folder. And so adding a dot just moved it up. Yeah, I mean, if that made sense to you, that made sense to you. If it didn't, it's not that big of a deal. Just trying to remember another option I could have taken that probably would have been maybe better would have been just delete this. That's what I'll quite often do, and then click on this, and then click that, and then it just does the exact same thing. It just put the extra dot there. Just folder positions. So let's hit save. If it builds, we should be good. Okay, so it did not build, and we are going to. So it looks like, oh, it looks, I think, inside of discrete itself. Oh, its links also broke. So let's go over here. Let's see. So it was having to go up 3. Now it only has to go up 1. But so I could just delete this and that'll be fine. But probably the safer, easier thing to do would be just to delete that and then click on that and then click on that. And see, now it's only got 2 back because it's not, the whole folder is up higher, one higher. And it looks like it's upset in that. It was upset in this discrete component, and then apparently something in the service. No, that's that. So let's see if it still works. Still works. Let's see. Konnichiwa? That's how you say it, right? Japan. I actually can't. I don't know how to spell things in Japan, so I don't even know if this is going to work. But Konnichiwa? Yeah, I think that's how it was. I think last time I had like an extra little dot. But yeah, it definitely, we know it is the right language because of this. So that is cool. Too cool for school. All right, so that's good. I feel like I should commit this because when we rename, we're going to have another set of issues. So I am going to. I love you too. So we see we have 4 moved. This discrete component had a change here. That makes sense. It's always good to just go through and just make sure everything. So this is a brand new file. It's a brand new file. Brand new file. Brand new file. And I will say that you really should take, if you're going to delete and move a component, you really, 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 really need to communicate if you're on a team because this is where you get like just unsolvable get conflicts, and sometimes someone may have like a branch that is been going for a year. Like there may be a whole full rebuild of, like, let's say you're working on the old version and they're working on the new version or something like that. Like you could just completely wreck somebody else's work. Like moving stuff is a very, very in a team, on an individual basis in Angular. Almost. On an individual basis in Angular, it's pretty easy, but like in a team, it's pretty complicated. Things get out of hand very quickly. Git add dot, git commit -m moves discrete settings component. Boom. And we're going to push that. Go ahead and push it. Push it real good. No. Rhett loves music. Yeah. Yeah. Get it, girl. So anyways, yeah, so we did that. That was cool. That was fun. That was exciting. The next thing we probably need to do is just get rid of this word here. Again, this is another thing that, like, back in the day was just damn near impossible. Like, little bugs would just start showing. It would be years before all the little bugs in all different places went away. Um, you can tell Rhett is done. She's done with coding today. This is just gonna break all kinds of stuff. This is gonna be much, much more. And see, this time, yes. See, it didn't. We didn't do that for us last time. Me and my boss were like literally. I think it was 2 days ago. We were just talking about like, because he's been coding for a long time too, and this whole thing where things act differently, uh, inconsistent behavior on computing things is like so new. I mean, it's just so bizarrely different than how we used to do things back in the day. All right, so this guy's upset now. And basically, it's upset that we renamed it. Did we do the template? That's what we did? I've seen, like, this is the kind of thing that just either goes really easy or you botch it. Like, you absolutely botch it. And I've seen people botch this so bad. Um, and I don't know, there's just certain, so for me, like a unit, a PR, when you're doing a pull request means that you've completed your work. It's all done, it's ready to be reviewed. That is not the same for everybody. Sometimes, some people, it's kind of like, it's different. It's like when they've gotten as far as they can get without help, then they do a pull request. Um, which I think is reasonable. Like, I don't really have a major problem with that, but it's just different. Um, See, that time it seems like it updated and saved. So the previous one, it updated it, but it didn't save it. This time, it looks like it updated and saved the change. So just the inconsistency is just bizarre. And then, like, I've just seen this huge uptick in people like saying, and no one even knows how large language models or ChatGPT and all them even work. And it's just like, I don't know how, when I turn the faucet on my water, like how water ends up from who knows where in my sink. I don't know how that works. I mean, and I would say that very, 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 very few people do know how that works. All right, so this time it's upset. It says it could not resolve. Okay, so that's good. That's a perfectly fine issue. This one is red, and I see a red up there. See, this time it didn't ask me to fix it. Then, yeah, I don't understand it. But I guess this is different because this is inside of my component. But yeah, so apparently Microsoft's having massive layoffs, and I haven't seen anything. I don't think come out of the. Now, not that YouTube is particularly good at notifying me of things, but man, I feel like I haven't seen anything out of the Angular team in a while. So, well, that's not Microsoft though. That's Google. I haven't actually heard of massive layoffs coming out of Google though, but they probably do have them too. Um, all right, so is this all working now? I don't know if I. Oh, here we go. Oh, I was in the wrong. Was in the wrong command line. Let me stop this and start it again. Let's see what happens. I did another application. Oh yeah, that it's a application I'm not working on off camera. Um, and I used SSR. I will not do that again, at least not for a couple of years. Um, that was not. I am having all kinds of weird issues that I've never had before. Um, Okay, everything is working. Let's go look at this next thing. Let's see what we got. What do we got? We got a new file. No, we don't. We have a new path to our component. That makes sense. So a lot of people would have probably tried to do both of those together. I always do them separate. I've found this just deletes this. I found that doing those in 2 steps instead of 1 with a commit in the middle tends to be a lot better. I probably at work I probably wouldn't have pushed. I would have pushed the 2 commits together though. There was absolutely no reason to uh, not push them together. Get Rhett's trying to call over our German Shepherd. Gretchen's a girl. Gretchen's a girl. Gretchen's not a boy. All right, renames. Settings. Dialogue. Dialong. And get push. Push it real good. All right. So now I think if I remember, I'm done making code changes and stuff, but I just wanted to check something. I think if you change it here, Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. So yeah, we can see since the wow, I wonder what that means. Actually, I don't even think either of those are right. I do not think that is hello. But so it does change it. If you change it in anyone, it changes for all of them. Perfectly fine. I think that is actually beneficial. At least for my uses. I would rather if I change it in one of them and I'm playing around with it and I want to, if I'm going to the other one to play around, I probably want to play around with the exact same settings. So I guess that's that for today. I can't help myself. I do want to go to ChatGPT and ask about this. What does this mean? Oh, why did I hit stop? Don't worry about it. Never mind. Apparently, is what I said. So it's weird, right? Because I'm just going to refresh. I didn't really have to, but Konnichiwa. Oh, it's in English. All right. So I shouldn't have refreshed. So come over here, change this to Japanese. Konnichiwa. Copy this. I did do a little bit more than I did before. Okay. Konnichiwa. Okay, let's try it again. Konnichiwa. Is this the same thing? I tell you, the Japanese brain must really function different than the American brain. And I would assume it's because, yeah, that looks the same. Okay, so that time it worked. Maybe I needed to do a little bit longer in the code. Because in that original foundation, us learning 26 letters, I don't know why I always think we have 24 letters. My son corrected me yesterday. 26. So, oh, interesting. Harrigan has 46 basic characters. Kata, Katakana has 46 basic characters as well. And then kanji has thousands of characters borrowed from. Oh, so they have 46 basic characters. I didn't know that. I thought they had. I thought so. I saw some guy talk about like, oh, if you want to, with Japanese kids when they're going through school, they have to pass their first sets of tests. They have to learn 2,500. Um, YouTuber that kids have to learn 2,500 characters before they can pass an important test. Must learn all 2,500 kanji by the time they finish high school to be considered fully literate and pass major academic. So I don't think us as Americans ever have as a group ever have any experience like that where we have to learn like 2,500 characters by sight. And I don't know because we have is we have our 26 characters that we sort of fuse together and pull apart, and then those mean words, and then we learn. I'm assuming we learn hundreds of thousands of those. Um, so I don't. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. So U.S. to learn many words to graduate high school. Exactly. While students don't learn thousands of individual characters like Japan or China, they have to build a large vocabulary. Oh, oh, so I thought it was like hundreds of thousands, but 20 to 25,000 words. Okay, so it was 20,000 words compare to um, 2,500 characters. Characters from a memorization perspective. Oh, look, Barry, there they represent two very. See, yeah, that it's so. I think what I'm what I'm trying to get at, which and I don't really know this. This is not in any way, shape, or anything. Like I'm just freaking thinking out loud. Is that our brains are going to be formed, are going to be hard coded, are going to be like the software, the ROM, the read only memory part of our brain is going to be configured extremely differently because of this. Um, yeah, see, we can sound out words. I guess they can't. Yeah, we have these patterns and all that. Non-phonetic. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they can't even like sound anything. Multiple readings. Yeah, that was crazy. I don't even like this thing. Multiple readings. Many kanji have 2 to 5 different pronunciations depending on the context. That like I can't. I don't know that we do have that. Like we have like no. Yes, yes, yeah. We do. We definitely have that in English as well. I can't think of one right now, but we do have where This word is spelled the same way, but it has two different meanings based on how it's pronounced. That definitely happens. It's not very often, which almost makes it worse. Visually complex, high visual memory load. So it didn't say anything about word construction adds. Yeah, 25 kanji is like many Chinese logos, each with its own. And that was like very disappointing to me because, like, I started watching anime because I just saw that a lot of people watch anime. There's this one, I think it's called A Whisker Away, that we're watching right now. And, like, they don't realize, like, how much you miss out because you can't read whatever is on their little lapel and stuff like that. So it's not like a word so much, but it's like here, it may just be a logo. Uh, yeah, so kanji is much harder per unit. Japanese students essentially memorize. Um, from a total load, English vocabulary more concept. Oh my God, I didn't even think about concepts, but patterns and repetition. Japanese kanji represents fewer chunks, but each chunk is deeper and harder to master. Uh, so brains may be configured differently based on whether you learned 2500 kanji, Kanji, or 20,000 words. Fascinating, well supported idea. Learning kanji versus O does not just affect what you know, it shapes how your brain processes language. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Memory and even attention. Let's break this down. Uh, Left brain dominant, sequential processing, predictive logic. Yeah, that's a thing that we have a lot. Like, and it's weird because, like, if you're Spanish, the words are very similar, but like they're they go from, like, so we'll say like a red car, they'll say a car of red, and so we can predict things differently, and which then changes, I think, significantly how your brain works. Um, Holistic pattern recognition, bilateral activization, memory intensive. Um, Brain function, phonological were stronger, apparently weaker. I don't even know what that means. Visual memory, moderate, stronger. Yeah, see, they seem to remember shit that they see a lot better than we do. Um, Spatial awareness, lower. Higher, especially in Chinese Japanese readers. Spatial awareness. Analytic, pattern driven, predictive, holistic, recognition driven. Reading errors, often phonetic mistakes, often semantic or substitution. Yeah, different parts of your brain are going to light up. Yes, to a degree. The brain is a brain in fluent English is like a code breaker, decoding letter patterns quickly. The brain in fluent and kanji readers is a simple analysis, instantly recognizing. Both are incredible, and bilingual readers will get both sequences. So, anyways, so if you've gotten here to with me through this whole bizarre path that I've gone on, see, I've even lost Rhett. I think she might be asleep up there. But um, if you are from a different country and you would like me to add a different, one of the other, like your one, some other one of these things, which I can't believe I can't remember what it's called. Um, the language of your that you know of and all that, please let me know. I definitely am not going to add, like, I don't think I'm going to add like thousands of them in here in this project. I'll probably just kind of leave it at this and add one if I do need one in the future. Now, my Say Hello project that I plan to do, I plan to have literally thousands. I'm hoping that in a few years, it's just like I'm looking for a new language to put in there with hellos and all that other stuff. But the languages that will show up in the drop down for or in the list for Say Hello will be configuration, not code driven. Um, so, anyways, yeah, if you are watching this, if you are one of the very few people that are watching this, and you want me to put something here, just let me know. So let me know what it is. Um, I'm really hoping to see like an Indian one, like some kind of Indian. Um, but my understanding is there is no Indian language. There's like 100. How many languages do they speak in India? How many languages they speak? Actually, this is very important to me in India because I have a follow-up question that I think is more that um, linguistically diverse. Oh my goodness, 1,600 languages, 22 official languages listed in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Oh my goodness. And I don't see English in there. I thought English was one of the Indian widely. See, I hear this one a lot. I've heard a lot of people, Tamil, maybe computer programmers must speak this one a lot. Um, I wonder. I wonder why isn't English in the Constitution? This is like one of those things. Like, is this an offensive question? I don't know. Jeez, how would I know? It's not listed as an official language in the Constitution. Here's why. Because it has no historical context. Fair. Absolutely fair. English was introduced during and remained a language. 1940. India wanted to promote indigenous languages. Okay, so now I always forget what these things are called. Let me look it up. Let me look in here in my service. I think I called it properly. If I don't have it in there, I'm freaking putting the word in there. Interface, voice. Oh, that's interfaces. Close the interfaces. Open services. I have a navigation service, speech service. I really should move that in there. What are these things called? Locale. How many locales in India? And it would be, I hope I'm not being like offensive here. Like, you could just never tell. Like, it could be one of those things like you never talk about that. We don't talk about that. I don't, I wouldn't know that. There are definitely things. If you ask about locales, no. Okay. For example, okay, look. 22 schedules, locales, around 30. Okay. Asking from a computing perspective. Like in India, when they buy a brand new computer, how many locales can they pick from? OS and software vendors. Oh, so there's an English India. That makes total sense. Hindi. Control language, UI keyboard, Mac OS. So with the web API. To a list of locales that would be used in India. It's crazy how weirdly complex it gets, and it shouldn't. It seems like it should be simple, but it isn't. Okay, so typical set. Okay. That is crazy. And not in a negative way. I'm not trying to be negative. I mean, I definitely have nothing but positive feelings towards the folks in India. Um, holy cow, there's so many. Okay, so perspective. Many locales have in the USA. English US, ES US. So that's interesting that we would have that. Chinese, French US, Vietnamese. Wow. So we have a lot more than I would have thought. German US, Korean. So we have a Japanese version, a US version of Japanese. So that would be so okay. So I currently have JA. So if I am using JA JP and then switch to J to JA dash US, what differences? See, I wouldn't even know to ask this question. Might I see? Difference between as used in the United States, subtle but can affect formatting, cultural conventions, and possibly input preferences. Here's what switches. Okay, so data format. Okay, so time format. I guess that makes sense. So I guess in Japan, I guess they use a 24-hour clock. But here we use a 12. Currency, collation, sorting, sort order based on Japanese influenced by the interesting. So okay, how about from a voice perspective? Perspective. So accents, it's going to probably be a little bit more forgiving. Pronunciations, which I think kind of falls under accent. Voice availability. Speech style. Polite, formal speech styles typically in Japan could adapt to tone, style, and suit. It's ideal for users living in Japan who expect a natural native Japanese voice recognition tuned to Japanese dialects. U.S. is tailored for Japanese speakers living in the U.S. who might mix Japanese with English and have U.S. influence accents. I wonder. Okay, fuck. Okay, sorry guys. I know this is dragging on, but like this is a journey. I don't know when else I would ever get to learn this. Will I get English characters or Japanese characters if I say Japanese US? Like who? I don't think anyone, like especially computer programmers and stuff, could even be expected to um, understand, like even the right questions to ask. Like, oh, do you want U.S. Japanese? Or it's kind of crazy because this is kind of a weird thing compared to like what got me on this thing was trying to understand. I knew there was a ton of languages in India, and then okay, so they have thousands of languages, but they only have hundreds of, or maybe even dozens of locales, and so you can't do this with a lot of the languages in India, which is similar to the United States, where we have a lot of languages that are indigenous to this country that are lost, and this would be really nice if we could capture some of them in digitally. But anyways, let's try. Oh my gosh, I forgot how to say hello in Japanese. Yokishima, Okishima. Um, you spell Japanese hello in English. Konnichiwa, 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 konnichiwa. Okay, so it did it in Japanese characters. I was wondering about that. Um, it kind of feels like if it's Japanese US, it should be in English characters, not Japanese characters. But I don't know. Anyways, it's not even English characters. I guess they're Arabic characters. Anyways, yeah, that went longer than it probably should have. It is what 1:13. Time to run some errands, and we got Ultimate Frisbee at 7 p.m. tonight, which is much later than normal, but it is so hot right now. Oh, it's not too bad outside. It says it's 85, but I bet you it feels like 95 or something. Um, Now that says 86, feels like 95, yeah, Fahrenheit. So, anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.